call Trumpty Dumpty. But see, you have to understand, unhealed people don't hear with their ears. They hear with their triggers. Every time we walk in a room and they see us, their triggers go off. They see dark skin and they get scared. It must be something about us that they're afraid of. And I believe it's rooted in what an Orkin man told me one time. He said, Reverend, the only reason I have a job is because we can't get rid of that cockroach. We keep coming. They couldn't hear Jesus. They got triggered by his Jewishness. He preached to ears that refused to hear him, but he kept preaching all the way to Calvary. And his first words from the cross was, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He could have called 10,000 angels to stand by his side, but he decided to die to save a wretch like me. And I'm so glad that he saved my soul. I'm so glad he made me whole. I'm so glad that I can look in the mirror and like who I see. Ain't nothing wrong with your color. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, the nappier the hair, the more it'll hold a comb. Ain't nobody like us. I like being black. I'm so glad I'm black, I don't know what to do. Because you know what? Can't nobody walk like us when we broke. We are some colorful people. We need to recognize our strength, because if we're still here, that says we're very strong. And all the stuff they do to try to wipe us out, it never works, because we know how to sing a way out of it. We know how. We've been blessed by Aretha Franklin when she said, "I don't want nobody always sitting around me and my man." We like Lattimore. Let's straighten it out.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching my videos from. I don't know if you're seeing me well, but I'm sorry if my visibility is not giving. I'm sorry if my voice is not on point, because I must address what I'm going to talk about, and I'm far away from my studios. Please just listen to me. Listen to my words now. The unity of black people is a threat. The unity of black people is a threat to the Western powers, is a threat to the white system, is a threat to the white people, not all white people, but it's a threat to the white America. All, that's for sure. And I have known that recently when I've seen the tension between white people, the tension between the Western powers, the tension between the white system, when black people are coming together for a purpose. Number one, black Americans came together for a purpose when they said what? They are gonna vote block on this one. That's a purpose for black people. Black people have been uniting for a number of things. For a policy to be implemented, for them to change a type of policy in US, black people come together, they protest, they go on the street, they talk, they shout, because their unity, it speaks loud. April 5th, just recently, when black people united on social media and said they ain't protesting, it was a threat. Number one, because they don't know what these black guys are thinking. They don't know what black folks are thinking. They don't know the next step. They don't know why are they not provoked with what's going on. The policies that we have kept, it is to increment black people. But we don't see them responding. What's going on? Because the silent is a threat and unity is the biggest threat. Now, recently, when black Americans, Caribbeans, and Africans united for the support of Ibrahim Traore, it was the biggest threat of the century. That, it was out of timing, because no one believed that. They always come out and maybe they portray black Americans in different ways or Africans in different ways, but this time round, all of these, we united for this purpose, and that is a threat. Before we continue on this video, let's watch these clips and then we come back here with more commentary.
I believe that Ibrahim Traore is the perfect example of why the American establishment does not want African Americans to see their liberation as intimately intertwined with the liberation of the African people. Because what are just some benefits that African Americans could receive from a liberated, united Africa? Imagine a liberated, united Africa being able to tell the U.S., hey, sure, we'll allow you access to these resources that you want so badly. However, you have to do X, Y, Z for your African American and black community. You want our copper and gold? Okay, yeah. So let's talk about housing for black people. Imagine that Africa has control over its resources. It is overflowing with wealth. And it is like, hey, African Americans, black people of the world, if you feel that you are mistreated as a population in your country, you could have a new home here. But they want African Americans to be isolated from black people outside of empire, because it makes us easier prey to exploit. In the reality that they've created, if resources is money and money is power, who would have more power than the African continent? To empower Africa is to empower all black people around the world, and they know this.
The world as we know is gradually becoming something else. It has become, but it's becoming another thing. If you watch closely to what is happening around, and then you see for yourselves that the only way out for the melanated beings is unity, is togetherness. We just have to come together and pull away all this apathy, all this hate amongst ourselves, which they stir up. You heard that? They create chaos and capitalize on the chaos. We have to quietly try our best to tolerate one another, to foster unity.
That's because in Oakland, California, the Black Panther Party launched a free lunch program to feed the children in the communities because they were going to school hungry. You know, and they worked. And that's what it was all about. Just all of us working together. How do you destroy that? Put a black face on the TV screen and have everybody look at the black face and say, oh, that person's a part of our community. So the story they're telling must be right. No, they just got paid to fabricate. They got paid to lead you in a way that's going to frustrate your community.
Is there any solutions? Like, is there, and cause we know all the problems, we know all the issues, everybody woke. What do black people in America do?
Here's the situation. Until we hate racism more than we hate each other, nothing's going to change. See, our problem is totally mental. We're $1 trillion people. We got all the degrees we need, all the expertise. But you know what we're lacking? That cultural commitment to ourselves. We're the only group who don't have it.
I was going to say that it almost feels like before we could fight racism, we have to fight self-hate.
Yeah. You're going to have a civil war.
Because we don't necessarily support ourselves. You know,
Not at all.
We don't help each other.
Martin Luther King didn't get killed because of I had a dream. He had something else he was going to talk about, black empowerment, economic empowerment. When I did the Forbes and I showed them the $890 million receipt and they still didn't say billionaire, they don't want us to know that we can buy land. They don't want us to have the 100% ownership. And the reason why I say these things out loud in this way is so I won't be killed. I said it out loud already. This is what. But last year, I was killed by the press for having a difference. Not having a difference in opinion, for having an opinion. When y'all read the headlines, Kanye's crazy, this is that, this, that. It's like 1 in 3 African Americans are in jail. And all the celebrities are in jail also, because they can't say nothing. They have no opinion. They're so scared.
Don't kill me. But I feel like that whole fight for civil rights movement that they depict during Black History Month and throughout history in itself is a microaggression. Because we're fighting to be equal, but what are we fighting to be equal to? Not our oppressors. Not the individuals that didn't want to educate us, so we have to educate ourselves. Not the individuals that didn't want to fund us, so we have to fund ourselves. Not the individuals that couldn't protect us, so we have to protect ourselves. Couldn't want to have been like those individuals. Because why would we even want to do that when we did everything that they didn't want us to do, and we're still better off than them, in a sense. Which is why they resort to more so violence than anything else. So to sit in these schools and put in these textbooks that although slavery was bad, you guys fought tooth and nail to be a part of us and be one with us, in itself is an insult. Because fuck is you talking about? I know my ancestors, descendants of kings and queens, royalty, didn't fight, didn't die in a sense to be a second-class citizen, if that. And with what we know about history, about certain things being watered down and certain things being hyped up, I just feel like their interpretation wasn't the actual reality. But it's funny, because you see how they hype up the civil rights movement, but they don't hype up the Pan-African movement, which was everybody getting back up and moving to Africa, headed by Mr. Marcus Garvey himself, along with Mr. W.E.B. Du Bois and others. But I can go on for hours about this. Let's look at it like this, right? From what we've seen and known about history, the oppressed always goes above and beyond to protect their culture and where they come from, their principles, their way of life, so to speak. So why would we fight to adapt to your ways when we have ways of our own?
There's no way in the world that white people can free black people, because freedom is not white people's to give. Two, white people, as I said in the piece, cannot do for us what we refuse to do for ourselves. Whether or not whites like blacks or blacks like whites, I frankly have no interest in that at all. I have no interest in managed society. I'm not interested in having to sit next to people because they're white. I'm interested in being equal. And the only way you're equal is to have power. Not whether or not white people have been fair, not whether they're nice people, not whether or not black people are good or bad, but whether or not you as a community of people have the instruments of defense and in some cases of aggression to protect your turf and or your interests. You can't have 30 million people handing over to another people 100% of their resources and blaming them for 100% of their problems. That is not intelligent. So what we need to do in the black community is A, decide to be competitive. And the only way we're going to be competitive is to use our resources.
But once we get that understanding, we must still have a collective identity, because it has already been forced upon us and larger society. Because just like it doesn't matter if you're an African American from Ohio, from Mississippi, California, you walk into that store, there's a chance that you're gonna get followed around in that store. Same thing, you could be African, they gonna follow you around in that store. Your communities are going to have certain cultural traits as well. And so collectively, we need to hold on to.
So as a black person, we have to understand what the mission was. The mission was to de-unify the black community, because the stronger they come together, the more they come together, the stronger they are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
When black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to himself.
Now, welcome back. We have had the videos that I've featured in this clip, and I just want to ascertain for sure that the unity of black people is a threat, and black unity has always been feared in America. Black unity has always been feared everywhere, not because of violence, not because it is extreme, but because it is powerful, because it's unfilled or it's unified black people economically, politically, and culturally. It has always posed a challenge to the systems built on our divisions. So today I'm diving deep into that. Why black unity is seen as a threat to a lot. Now, one thing I have to say, let's start with the foundation. For example, America was built on slavery. And to maintain slavery, the system needed black people to be dehumanized and divided. So if enslaved Africans unified, revolted, or simply supported one another too strongly, that power threatened the entire slave economy. If the unity of black people is there and black people are supporting each other, that power of slavery economy is gone. The entire slavery economy is gone. Now, even after slavery ended, the fear of unity didn't go away. Take Reconstruction. The moment black people started organizing politically, building businesses, and forming communities, white supremacists reacted with violence. They reacted with lynchings. They reacted with massacres and the rise of KKK. Why? Because a united black population was moving towards power. And power is what holds everything. So, even into 20th century, the FBI under J. Edgar, if you have come across that name, declared the black J. Edgar Hoover, if you have come across that name. Even into 20th century, the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover, if you recall that name or if you know that name, declared the Black Panther Party the greatest internal threat to American security. Now, Black Panther were not attacking people. Black Panther were not killing people. What Black Panther were feeding children, protecting their communities, and teaching black pride. Feeding black children, how is that a threat? Protecting the community, how is that a threat? Teaching black history, black pride, how is that a threat? But the white America feared that if this continue, black people will come together with power. Black people will get strong when they are being fed. Black people, if they eat, they'll get strong and united against us. I think that's what they thought. Because how can you declare Black Panther a threat and yet it is feeding children and yet it is teaching the pride of black people? That means this: black people are being left to die in hunger so that they cannot get the energy to fight back. Maybe. Let that sink in. Feeding black children and encouraging self-defense was considered as a threat in 20th century by the FBI, Hoover. Let's talk about money, economic power, and independence. Because economics is one of the most powerful tools of control, in white America, the black dollar is often used but rarely circulated in our own black communities. Black people spend trillions each year, yet the average black dollar stays in the black community for only 6 hours. Only 6 hours compared to 20 days in Asian communities and 17 days in Jewish communities. That's my research that I've done. Don't ask me where I've got that figure, but I'm learning. I'm doing research. Black dollar barely stay in black communities more than 6 hours. In Asian communities, it stays even 20 days. Jewish, 17 days. Why? Because we have been conditioned to trust others' businesses more than our own business. We have conditions to support others' businesses more than our own businesses. And anytime we try to shift that, we face resistance. Anytime we try to support black businesses, it is bombed down. And when I talk about bombing down, look at the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You remember that. A thriving black community, self-sufficient, economically independent. They had hospitals, banks, schools, and shops, all black owned. And what happened? What happened is that it was bombed, burned to the ground, over 300 people killed, thousands left homeless. Why? Why such a violent reaction? Why? I think it's because black economic unity challenged white economic dominance. It proved that we didn't need white approval to succeed. We didn't need the white people to succeed. That's what it meant. And that's why Black Wall Street was bombed down. Even today, when we see movements encouraging buying black, starting black banks or supporting black farmers, they are met with suspicion, sometimes even labeled as reverse racism. But nobody bats an eye when other communities do the same thing. In South Africa, they call it reverse racism when black people are rising up, when black people are taking back their land, when black people are in power. Now the world is seeing it as reverse racism and saying that we have genocide, white genocide in South Africa. But no one sees that when black people are on the line. So why is it dangerous when we do it? Why is it dangerous when we unite? Because it threatens the system of dependency that benefits white America, where we work for them, buy from them, and rely on their approval. We can't do anything without the white people putting a thumb. We can't do anything without the white system approval. So it matters a lot. It matters a lot, and it is dangerous to them, and that's why each and every time they find ways to diminish or to cut down our horns when we rise. I will talk about cultural and social influence. Culturally, black people are the blueprint. Music, fashion, slang, sports, even social media trends. Our influential is global. Black people influential is out of this world. Think about this. Think about the music industry, the US music industry, the hip hop. White America is getting millions and millions of dollars from that. But instead of being celebrated, our unity is culture, or our unity in culture is often commodified and stripped of credit. They don't give us credit. Think about it. When black creators start movements or trends online, those trends blow up. And when it blow up, we see white people monetizing it. But, you know, then the white influencers are using it, are monetizing it, and they don't give credit to black people. So unity of cultural creation is profitable, but only if it can be controlled. Even in sports, in entertainment, when black athletics or artists speak out in unity, for example, like calling Kai Panic, or when entire NBA team protested after George Floyd murder, they are told to stick to the game. Stick to the game, because they fear the unity of these big influencers. And black, it's a threat to the system. Now, white America is fine with black people being entertainers, fine with black people being dancers, fine with black people being, I think so. Yeah, it's fine that way. But I think things are changing. And anytime black communities mobilize to vote as a bloc or organize, the backlash is immediate. You know, black voter turnout, for example, in 2020, helped flip the state. But what followed is a new law making harder to vote, so especially in black areas. So they don't want us to unite and vote even as a bloc. That's the reason. So yes, I may say this: black unity is a threat, but not to America as a nation. It's a threat to the white supremacy. See Africa, what happened that back then when black people united in a cause of uniting on purpose of Ibrahim Traore, it was a threat to the system because they're now seeing that we are working towards a purpose. And that's why they always divide us. They always divide black people and black Americans and Africans. They create stereotypes, they create things that will bring this unity between. So it is to say that our cracking between our community create chaos. And that's why we need to fill up the cracks that is in between our black community. That's why we need to stop these diaspora wars, because it is just giving them mileage to move on, mileage to continue oppressing people. So we need to unite. That's the main motive of this video. We need to unite. So the future depends on our unity, not just for resistance, but for creation, for healing, for freedom. Uniting does not make us say that we do violence. No, violence is not the solution. If you learned something, share this video to someone who you think may need to hear this, because unity is all that we need. Tell me what you think on the comment section. I'm so sorry for, doing a video that's maybe not matching your quality, but until next episode, peace out.